As the clock struck 10 a.m., I lazily scrolled through my phone before deciding to pack up and head home for the summer break. My mum and sister had been nagging me all summer to join them on a family trip to New Zealand, and my sister was especially excited to visit Milford, a popular tourist spot. Before leaving, there was a knock on my door. Without a peephole, I cautiously asked who it was, only to find out that it was my two friends Michaela and Olivia. They added an unexpected surprise element to my day as we exchanged greetings and laughs. I quickly called my family and asked if we could postpone our plans for a day, so I could join in on the party these two had invited me to. My sister, who knows me well, texted back asking if she could come along too. With some annoyance but also excitement, I agreed. The party wasn't until later that night, so my sister could still make the drive over in time. In the meantime, my friends and I did silly things to pass the time and wait for my sister's arrival. As the sun began to set and the night crept in, there was a steady knocking on the door of our apartment. My sister had arrived, and we all quickly got ready for the evening ahead. After a few minutes, we were piling into my sister's car, laughing and sharing photos of boys from school. Memories of our high school days flooded back, and we joked about how they used to tease my sister when she was just a young girl. But it was all in good fun. No bullying involved. Just friendly banter amongst friends. We arrived at our destination, and I took a moment to observe our surroundings. The place was a mix of young and middle-aged people, with a sprinkling of older individuals among them. I asked Olivia what kind of party this was, and she responded with a sly smile that it was an elite party, meaning there could be some Hollywood stars in attendance. As we made our way inside, it became clear that this was an event for the wealthy elite, with servers and waitresses bustling around to cater to their every need. No wonder Olivia had insisted that we dress up. Michaela wasted no time flirting with a handsome guy, while Olivia also found someone to chat with. I ended up hanging out with a group of middle-aged men who seemed thoroughly entertained by my sense of humor. One gentleman even offered me a ride home later, if you catch my drift. But I declined politely, as I already had plans with my family the next day. Meanwhile, my sister sat quietly in a corner, munching on chocolate-covered strawberries from the fountain at our table. I approached her and asked if she was okay. She replied nonchalantly that this is how college people party, not much fun at all. When I offered to take her home, she insisted on staying and having some fun. "Tomorrow is going to be my day," she declared with a mischievous glint in her eye. "We're going to New Zealand to visit Milford." I promised her that we would leave after a few more rounds of drinks and socializing. And with that, I returned to my friends and continued to enjoy the night, mingling with new people and getting a taste of how the other half lives. As the champagne flowed and plates of canapes were passed around, we realized that it was getting quite late and decided it was time to head home. Olivia, however, chose to stay behind as she had hit it off with a wealthy guy who had invited her to the party. Turns out his dad was a politician. My friend Michaela and I tried to call my sister, but failed to reach her. Worried, we searched all over the mansion for her, but she was nowhere to be found. It wasn't until I remembered her table from earlier that my panic truly set in. As I frantically searched for her, I noticed her phone lying on the ground a few steps away from the table. Her bag, containing some of her belongings such as face powder and lipstick, was also left behind. At this point, I was ready to call 911 when Michaela suggested We asked some of the servers or guards if they had seen her. Surely among the crowd of staff, someone must have spotted my sister somewhere in the vicinity. I show the group a photo of my sister, her bright smile and sparkling eyes captured forever in that one moment. They immediately begin to make calls on their radios, determined to find her. As the hours pass by, we exhaust all efforts in searching for her. In desperation, I turn to my friend and ask if we can file a police report now. Without hesitation, she takes her date's car and drives us straight to the nearby police station. Tears streaming down my face, I frantically call my mother and share the news with her. She is in shock and quickly books the earliest flight to be by our side. My friend Michaela offers to stay with me that night for comfort, but I am too distraught to even think about sleeping. The next morning, my mother arrives and immediately announces that we will return to the mansion where my sister went missing. As we approach the gates, hopeful yet anxious, the guard denies us entry. We plead and explain our situation, but he coldly replies with a simple, "I'm sorry, I can't let you in." Frustration and anger building up inside me, my mother takes me to the police station to demand answers as to why a search warrant hasn't been issued for this location. The police seem evasive and refuse to give us any concrete information. Feeling utterly helpless and desperate for any lead, I turn to Olivia. Perhaps the boy she was with knows something about my missing sister. But she shakes her head sadly, revealing that he was just a fleeting fling and they no longer keep in touch. The weight of disappointment sinks deep into my chest, as I had hoped this would be the breakthrough I needed. Instead, it feels like another dead end in my search for answers. The walls seem to close in around me, suffocating me with their oppressive stillness. But I refuse to give up on finding my sister, no matter how hopeless it may seem. My mother and I are at our wits' end, trying to come up with any ideas or leads on finding my sister. We even go door to door asking neighbours if they have seen or heard anything suspicious, but all we are met with are blank faces. With no other choice, we return home late into the night. Exhausted but unable to sleep, I tell my mother that we will try again tomorrow. Just as we are about to enter our home, my phone starts ringing. The caller ID shows an unknown number, and my heart skips a beat. It's my sister on the other end, her voice trembling and filled with fear. "Oh no!" she cries out. "Someone is chasing me. Please help me." I quickly put her on speakerphone so my mom can hear too. My mother breaks down in tears, and all I want to do is cry along with her. But I have to stay strong for my sister. I ask her where she is, trying to calm her down as much as possible. All she can tell me is that there are trees surrounding her and it's dark. She can't see anyone, but she knows someone is following her. Through sobs and gasps for air, she tells us that they injected multiple syringes into her, and it hurts. My heart shatters into pieces at this news, and my mother feels helpless and urges me to go back to the police station. My sister's battery is dying, and she says they are getting closer. In a rush of emotions, I tell her how much I love her and that we will come find her and will be on our way to Milford tomorrow. She thanks us before the call abruptly ends. Trembling and numb with shock, my mother and I make our way back to the police station, determined to get answers and bring my sister home safely. Our minds racing with fear and uncertainty. We pray for my sister's safety as we wait for any news or leads from the authorities. As we pulled up to the police station, my hands were shaking and my heart was pounding. We reported the incident, and the officer took our report, promising to do everything in their power to find my missing sister. My mother and I felt lost and helpless as we made our way back home. The weight of uncertainty and fear hung heavy on our shoulders. Unable to sleep, we turned to the internet for help and searched for any leads or information about my sister's whereabouts. The hours ticked by slowly, each minute feeling like an eternity. As the sun rose on a new day, we received a phone call from the police officer. He instructed us to turn on the news, where we saw a familiar face, my sister's, plastered on the screen. The body of my sister was discovered near a bustling public place, her lifeless form sprawled at the bottom of a construction pit. The news spread like wildfire, shocking and devastating all who knew her. The cause of death was hastily deemed as accidental, as she had apparently slipped into the pit and was unable to escape. The weight of this information seemed too heavy for words to express. According to reports, there is CCTV footage that captured my sister's last moments. In the grainy video, she can be seen running in a panicked frenzy, desperately trying to flee from an unknown assailant. But despite the evidence captured on film, no culprit has been found. Instead, speculation swirls among the public as they question whether my sister was under the influence of drugs or some other substance. It only adds to the heartache and confusion surrounding her tragic death. The days that followed my sister's death were a blur of grief and anger. The police seemed more interested in closing the case quickly than in finding the person responsible for my sister's murder. They insisted that it was a tragic accident, but I knew deep down that there was more to the story. Determined to uncover the truth, I embarked on my own investigation. I pored over every detail of the CCTV footage, searching for any clue that could lead me to the person who had chased my sister that night. I mapped out the area where she was found, retracing her steps and talking to anyone who might have seen or heard something. It has been a decade since my sister's murder, and yet I'm no closer to finding the truth. Every lead I pursue turns out to be a dead end, leaving me frustrated and hopeless. In order to make ends meet, I have taken on the role of a public servant, but my true purpose remains unchanged: to find justice for my sister's untimely death. Each day, I wake up with a renewed determination to uncover the truth and bring closure for my family. Despite the passing years, my hope still burns strong. One day, I will finally discover the answers behind my sister's tragic demise.